yesterday. Sorry, got the recording in progress. What did you see from them on the court, and how good was it to have them kind of in the mix? I know they're not all the way back yet, but how was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, we've been down 3 starters for basically like a month right now. So to see everyone kind of starting to get back on the gym. It's the first practice yesterday where everyone was suited up and on the court, whether they were going full go or not. So that's always a sense of relief to get our starters back and get some of our big players back that obviously add to our team and make it what it is. But again, we're still without them, so we have to go into tonight focused.
Yeah, and kind of on that note, I know there have been other seasons in your career where people have been out and you've had to do more. 2021 comes to mind, 2019 when Christy went down for a bit. I'm curious.
Thank you, Jen. I feel like you're the only one that acknowledges that I played a month by myself at the one in 2019.
I got you.
We only lost 1 game too.
So as you kind of deal with that over the years, are you approaching it with a similar mentality, or have you, as you've gotten more experienced over your career, have you kind of changed the way you think about or approach those kind of situations?
I think obviously my mindset has changed as I've gotten older. I've added to my game. I've become more of a scorer, more an aggressive mindset within our offense. So understanding that when we have 3 starters out, that means that my shot attempts, slim shot attempts are going to have to go up. We're going to have to be more aggressive. Other players are going to have to get in and get shots up and be aggressive and be who they are. I would say, though, in this last month, it has not been easy. Mentally and emotionally, more than anything, I feel like it's been the biggest test to me in my career, with things that I feel like are controllable for us and that we're like today in the huddle afterwards. I read a quote and talked about we make a choice from here on out, the quote was basically, you can't be with what you want to be by remaining what you are. So where we are, period, it's not good enough. It's just not. We're about 3 games under 500. I don't know if I've ever been there in my career here with the Mystics. And yes, understanding that we have 3 starters out, but that's not an excuse because we still have enough in our locker room with those 3 people out to win games. And so it's been really, really hard. Again, I think a lot of stuff is in our control that we're not necessarily controlling. And that's on us as a whole, staff, players, to figure it out. And that's just the reality of it. Jen, I'm not going to pussyfoot away from anything. I feel like this last month of playing has been on us wholeheartedly.
What are some of those things you want to see you guys do differently tonight?
Be locked in, and when I say be locked in, that means knowing our scout, knowing our matchups, knowing our player tendencies, understanding the game scheme, what we want to do on the defensive side to disrupt them, offensively understanding what we want to do, why we want to do what we want to do, how we want to get Asia and the rim protectors out of the paint, setting screens, playing hard for 40 minutes, communicating for 40 minutes. Those are all within our control. And I feel like we haven't put together a 40-minute game with things that we can control.
And I wanted to ask you a little bit about Tori. Stats wise, she had just a huge month of July, and curious what you've seen from her lately that's been kind of on a different level from what you'd seen previously.
This is the Tori that I know. This is the Tori that I watched just absolutely destroy when she was at Maryland. And then obviously you come into the league and yes, we're all the best players at our school. We all, can score and do all this, then the third. But when you get to this league, you have to find what you do and do it well and do it to the best of your ability. So you stay in this league. So a lot of times you'll see prominent scorers in college come to the league. And now it's like, okay, well, where did they go? No, they're still those players. They're fitting in a team setting. But I think what is so special to Tori and to me to see in her for this month of June is this is exactly who you are. It's who you need to be. It's who we need you to be. And for me, I've been on Tori a lot about aggressive, because she starts us on defense. She's typically guarding the point guard, so she sets our tone defensively. And then on the offensive end, a lot of teams are going to try to put the weaker defender on her. take advantage of it. And I feel like she's really done that well, especially when we needed her to step up. So even when we start plugging pieces back in, what I'm telling the team, as in Tiana, Mai, Shatori, you still remain these players that you've been in June. We're just adding back some of our arsenal, but because you'll be aggressive like this, it will make their jobs easier just coming back into what we have already kind of established this last month.
Awesome. Thank you, Tosh.
Thank you, Jen.
Christos?
Hey, Natasha, how are you today?
Hi, Christos.
I would like to ask you, you spoke about the last month. So my question is, how tougher you feel that this team became mentally wise through this process, through the tough losses, through the bad games? How mentally tougher you feel you became as a group?
Oh, I would say, and this is just me being honest with you, I'm going to speak for myself. Mentally and emotionally, no, I've been drained this last month. It has been very hard. Our schedule doesn't help. 6 games in 12 days, or traveling and playing in Phoenix and then flying here and then playing tonight, taking a red eye back, and then playing again Sunday and then playing again next Wednesday. Or it's been brutal. And then as well as taking losses along the way and understanding that we're in kind of a storm right now, but just trying to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It has been emotionally and mentally depleting for myself. So I would assume that it was that way for the team. But regardless, we have a job to do every single night. Every time that we step on the floor, we try to the best of our abilities. But within that, I still think there's a lot of things that we can control that we're not controlling, are very controllable things for us. So we need to buy into that, and there's no kind of getting around that. We still are able to win some games, and I know all of us will tell you we've dropped some games or gave some games away, and so we just got to start putting together some wins here at the end of the season, and with adding back in, it will make that job a little bit easier.
As a leader of this team, as one of the most vocal players in this team, do you feel after that process that the team is on the same page right now?
I would say we're still trying to get there. I think we're still trying to get there, and it's August. We probably should be here, but that's just kind of the way our season has gone. And when you're constantly plugging pieces in and pulling pieces out, and you don't know who's playing, and you have limited minutes, and you got players like me and Slim playing about 40 minutes a game, and we have the schedule that we do, it's been really, really tough. But regardless, we've shown up every single night. We've shown up every single day. We try to figure it out together. So this team is still relentless, even though our record may not show it right now. This team has been relentless. This team has attempted to show up every single day. And some nights just aren't going to fall into our favor. And that's just what it is in a league that looks like our league. I don't think we've talked about the league this year. I would say in years past, you always knew, okay, if we play these games, we're going to win. Like, we just know these teams aren't strong. That's not the case anymore. Every single team is strong. Every single team has showed up this year. I think this is the most even that the league has been. And that has made our position that much harder. So it's been tough, but we're still here. It's still a blessing to play this game every single day. I still approach the court every single day with gratitude and appreciation. I understand that this is a privilege to do what I do every single day. And so even through the storms, you still try to figure out and find the good in this. So we got another one tonight. We're going to try to get it right. And hopefully we start getting our starters back in soon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your honesty.
Thank you, Christos. I appreciate you.
All right, we have time for one more question. Nathan?
Happy Friday, Natasha. How are you?
Happy Friday, Nathan. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah.
Question, you touching on what Crystal said, vocally on the court, but off the court as well. What is some advice you could give to those that are trying to find their voice, especially like myself, and use their platforms in a way where there's positivity and there's growth, particularly in the community for the WNBA?
Yeah, I think our league sets the standard across all professional sports leagues. I think we have always been the blueprint and set the standard of what it means to see a league that has a bunch of people from all different walks of life and different backgrounds, different upbringings, different colors, different sexual orientation preferences, all those things. And yet we still come together on everything and find a common ground. And for me in particular, I feel like once I solidified myself here in DC, I was able to really find my voice. I've always had a voice, but feeling confident and knowing that I was going to stay here long term. And I wanted to be able to do what I could with my platform and this God-given platform to be a voice for the voiceless, to be a voice for people that look like me and who struggle through the things that I struggle through every single day, but sometimes can get swept under the rug just because we're a marginalized group. So the advice that I would give is, right from wrong. When things don't sit well with your soul and with your heart, and when they don't, speak up. And there's not one right way to do it. I know that I'm very vocal in my approach. I'm not scared to speak my mind. I'm not scared for repercussions about speaking up or controversial things that I say. But that's not for everyone. Certain people will lead by example. Certain people will lead by just quietly doing things within their community. A person that has always come to mind of like the opposite end of the spectrum was Alicia Clark. While I was very vocal and I'm going to say stuff and I'm going to ruffle feathers to get the conversation going, AC was very much a more subtle approach to it. She wanted to do things here and there. Wanted to do things within the community, and she just had a much more subtle, nurturing approach to it. Whereas I have like a rah-rah, and then we're going to get to the nurturing, and you're going to see my genuineness in the conversation. But I think it's just being confident in who you are. I think this year, I would say on the court, I've been challenged as a leader more so than any other year in trying to figure out, and my leadership has had to change because my typical rah-rah that has worked hasn't been working. Especially in the situation where we are mentally, physically, and emotionally fatigued, I've had to tap in more to my water side and my nurturing side. And honestly, that's been really hard because my game on the court, I need my rah-rah. So taking myself out of my rah-rah, I'm trying to figure out what the middle ground is for me. I think the Phoenix game, I was too much water and it took me out of my game. I feel like there's been games where I've been too much rah-rah and it's taken us out of the game as a team. So I'm really trying to figure out what that middle space is. But I would say you're not going to please everyone. Not everyone's going to like you, and you have to be okay with that. Not everyone's going to understand your approach to things. You have to be okay with that. And then on the reverse side, I would say that people that aren't leaders and aren't very vocal and don't step into those roles of leadership, you have to understand that not everyone was built for this walk of life, and it's not an easy job. So showing grace to people that are in those positions of leadership and are trying to figure it out, I feel like there needs to be a lot more grace along the way, because it's not an easy thing to do. And if it was easy, everyone would do it.
All right,
I
thank you,
appreciate
Tosh.
you. Thank you.
No, I appreciate y'all so much. Have a good rest of y'all Friday.
We will see everyone
Y'all back
tonight.
in
Thank
DC.
you.
I look big, y'all. No problem.